All right. Well, aloha, beautiful beings of light. Rick Ely, thanks for tuning in. I'm here with my dear friend Steve and Dusty, otherwise known as Shine, we call him. We've been playing all morning and just having a lot of fun. I mean, Happy New Year. What an amazing new year. I mean, and we get to start it off with our friends. My wife asked me this morning, I said, I got to go do something. She said, what do you got to do? It's New Year's Day. It's like, you're going to go to work? I said, no, honey, I'm going to go play with my friends. I'm going to go play with my friends. I'm going to come back and play with you. I'm going to come back and play with you when I'm done playing with my friends. But so Dusty's going to teach us today about how to make these New Year's resolutions really stick longer than 30 days and make them real. Dusty, thanks for showing up. Steve, thanks for showing up. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So Rick, a question that a lot of people might ask is, why should I make a New Year's resolution? They never stick, right? And a lot of people have given up on it. And so the question is, if I want to make a change in the new year, does a resolution help me get there? And I would say that, and this is something for the three of us to talk about, if you make a resolution and it's a resolution that is an ought to do or a should do or a must do, you won't keep it. If you instead you say, this is what I want to do, if you change the should to this is something I get to do, if you change it to a must, to something that says, this is what I really want for my life. Language is real important. When we tell ourselves, I should go exercise, there's a natural rebellious part. However, if I say to myself, I want to go exercise because I want to be trim and fit, I like the way I feel afterwards. If you change the language, that helps. And as you change the language, you begin to take small, discrete steps. So you wouldn't say, I'm going to run a marathon and go out and try to run 26 miles the first day. You build up to it. So you'd say, okay, what would be some small steps I could take to actually begin to implement this? So if one of the changes I want to make, not I have to, I want to make, I want to not be so reactive when my beloved is being critical and giving me critical feedback. I want to learn how to listen and not respond in a defensive way, because that makes me feel good. Well, then what would be some small steps I could take? Well, every time I start to react, I could stop and say, sweetheart, I'm really working on learning how to listen without being defensive. And so I just realized I was getting defensive. Could you say that again? And I really want to listen. So interrupting to correct, to ask for feedback is a way in which you're reinforcing the fact that you want this. And by the way, when you put it that way, usually your partner will say it to you in a slightly kinder tone than maybe they did before. So the language you use, change your shoulds to I want, I got tos or ought tos to I get to, and also then small steps in a specific way are ways to take a resolution and make it a reality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we kind of addressed it before, that to try to make that change in the moment might be very, very difficult. You might want to have a game plan or predetermine what you're going to say or what you're going to do when you're starting to feel defensive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It sounds a little like premeditation, guys. I mean, you're talking about like, hey, I've already got the answer lined up in my head here. I already know what I'm going to do when you do this, when you pull that stuff. How's your wife going to feel about that?
Yeah. Well, you know, with my wife, and we've been married 33 years now. So I like the word premeditation. Sweetheart, I realize I get defensive when you are giving me some corrective feedback. You want me to be my best self. I typically hear it as being critical. So I am preparing myself strategically. I am premeditating on how I can respond to you differently. And I'm going to be awkward at it. I'm going to fall back to my old pattern. And I just want, since you love me and you're with me, would you help me? And don't stop giving me the corrective feedback. Just help me as I'm working through learning how to listen to it in a way that is better for you and better for me, because that's what I want. So if you are consciously telling others that you are working to manipulate yourself through premeditation, as opposed to manipulating them, they will participate and they'll help you, especially if they're coworkers who would like to see you change, a boss who would like to see you change, employees who report to you who'd love to see you change, one of your kids or your beloved. I think that premeditation is just be conscious with it and share it with others. That also is another way to lock it in. When you tell other people, this is what I want to do, you break it into small steps. You've laid out the strategies in advance, as Steve's talking about. All of that really goes into it. And being mindful of the language. I get to, I want to. This is what's going to give me greater joy. This is worthy of who I am. And take all the must, ought tos, and shoulds out of your vocabulary. Make sense?
Absolutely.
It makes sense, and it's all fine and dandy. I mean, what I hear you saying sounds very positive. Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds very positive and affirming, but look, and I'm not going to sit here and argue for my own limiting thoughts and casting these things out, but look, I'm human and I hear these things playing in my head. I don't want to speak it because I don't want to give it life.
Yeah. So
I hear willpower's not enough.
No.
But how bad do I gotta want something pretty bad to go after it. Yeah. And if I don't really want it bad, then I might not really know what I want. Is that a possibility?
Well, so you go to a very important point, Rick, which is if you're setting a resolution that is for somebody else, it's not going to last. If you're setting a resolution from a cynical point of view going, well, I'll say this, but I just don't think I can change, you're not going to change. So you want to hook your resolution to something really important to you. Now, if you know who you are, you know your core purpose in life, and many people don't. So I would almost say before you make a New Year's resolution, maybe your resolution should be, I'm going to spend the next 6 weeks really working on identifying who I really am and why I'm on this earth. I figured that out when I was 32, and it has guided me for 38 years now. It's been amazing. And when people, and we help people with that at EQ, and Pono Quest and Staub Leadership International, when we work with people and help them identify their core sense of purpose, the reason they're here, then when they make a resolution, it's tied to that. It's coming from who I really am. It's my greatest joy in life is to express that. I'm not doing what I ought to or should or have to. I'm getting to do what's going to make me feel best about who I am. So tie it to that sense of purpose, tie it to this greater need. Don't do it for anybody else. Really be selfish and do this for you because it's worthy of who you are. And then break it into small steps, premeditate about it, change the language. And if you do that, you're much, much more likely, like 100 times more likely to stick with something beyond the first 30 days. And it becomes then a habit. And I like the idea of a positive addiction. You know, I've been doing yoga for 45 years now. And if I don't do my yoga in the morning, it doesn't feel right. It feels wrong. And that yoga keeps me limber, keeps me strong, keeps me capable and more flexible, not only physically, but mentally. And it prepares me to deal with anything that's coming at me during the day, because it's an expression of my joy and my love to be able to stretch, to move, to be conscious of that. And so finding something that allows you to do that, it then becomes a positive addiction and it becomes an unconscious habit. And not doing it becomes more difficult than doing it.
Yeah, it becomes an innate part of you. It's something that's now it's on autopilot. You're not doing it consciously. It's an unconscious process. You've taken that you've reprogrammed your mind essentially at that point.
Yep.
It's now you're a new being with new havings. Wow, it's interesting how it works that way.
Yeah. So Dusty, you know, I come across people from time to time that, you know, they hear about focusing on the now, living in the moment, and they seem to disassociate with the need to have goals, and almost to where, well, that's an evil thing. That's what these people that are out for money and type A personalities, that I don't need that. I'm just going to focus on the now. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm curious what your thoughts are as far as being able to mesh the two together, have goals, but also focus on the moment.
Yeah, well, Steve, that's a great point. That'd be a whole book right there.
Yeah.
That should be a book maybe we should write. I love Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now, and his whole concept that the only place you get to live is now, and I totally subscribe to that. And if you want to shape your life, you are on a journey, you want to be able to have a clarity of a destination or a stopping point. There could be stopping points and points of the destination. That's setting goals, a vision for what you want to. You want to write a book that's going to touch people's hearts. You want to write a book that's going to tell people about something that is really important to you, that you think could be important to a number of people. You have to set goals. You have to do some planning. You have to sit down and do some things in the now to move towards it. And for me, I think of the vision and I think of the goals as the destination points we want to get to. And I think of the now as how I'm journeying. So it's not only where I'm going, it's how I'm getting there. And how I journey each step, how I travel each step, how I am in this moment helps determine the next moment. So part of that goal setting, part of that vision, part of those journey points has to do with how I journey today. So for me, it's both and.
Yeah.
It's now and it's planning for a future now that may or may not come. And yet it's a good use of my now to be thinking about how to do that. And my nows can become richer and deeper and more open as I express who I am. And I've set in a premeditated way some of the things I want to create. And I have to create them by each moment of now in terms of how I'm living, how I'm thinking. That's why knowing your purpose, that's why claiming your personal power is so important.
Yeah, when I work with athletes, elite level athletes, it's interesting. They develop that. They have their goal of getting a national championship, world championship. That's their goal. But all of these successful ones say, I just embrace the process.
Yeah.
I focus on the process. No longer the goal's there, but I have to enjoy and work on the day-to-day process.
Absolutely. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And you, Rick, you want to say something?
Well, I was having a conversation with our friend Clifford Starks this morning. He was talking about being a UFC fighter and having goals. And when you're in that state of, something so extreme as a cage, it's pretty much blood sport, right? If you're in that stage, he says, you're not thinking, you don't have any concept of getting hurt. You're not thinking on those lines. He says one of the things he does is, where's he going to go in his mind is all he's going to go in preparation for that one goal. If that's one event, you can't live in two places. He had said that he made a conscious decision to exit the ring, to exit the UFC fighting, because he knew that now that he's father, husband, now when he goes into the ring, he can't go to the ring anymore now because it's on his son. I want to be here. I want to be here. I can't be in two places. I can't be in two places at one time. And so the power of being here now, but also recognizing what you have to have now to have that experience in the future, right? To be able to get to that place. And that's what you can bring with you and what you can't bring with you. And we're not talking about willpower. We're talking about something much, much deeper at the deepest level, really connecting to your goals.
Yeah. Over the years, I've had the privilege, the honor of coaching a bunch of young executives going back 35 years. A number of them are now CEOs or senior leaders in different organizations. Some have gone out and created their own organizations. And when people let me know how the work I did with them back then, when their goal was to be a CEO, or their goal was to create a business, or their goal was to rise to a senior vice president level, they achieved it. Now, the thing that we teach is what we call wholehearted leading. And I'm the world's leading expert on wholehearted leading.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
I wrote the book on it about
Yes, you
almost 30 years ago. And it is a holistic framework, and that's a whole other conversation. However, as you look at that holistic framework, what I said to everybody I've ever worked with over the past 35 years is, look, you can have this goal to be this CEO. You have this goal to create a business. You have the goal to be a multi-millionaire. You could have the goal to be a billionaire. However, if you're not enjoying the journey today, you're off the mark. If you're not enjoying how you're on the process of moving towards your goal, you're off the mark. The key is enjoy who you are, express it, and remember, you're bringing other people along. Once one person said, you cannot become a millionaire without helping create 4 other people to become millionaires in the process. So it's a process of, as I journey, how am I treating other people? How am I treating my own body? Am I taking care of myself? Am I remembering my family? Am I bringing them with me in this journey? Where am I today? How am I now? And that's my goal. And so what are the things I can build on? What are the things I have to learn? What are some of the things I have to let go of? And that's where the resolutions that are tied to that deeper sense of purpose, small discrete steps, and changing the language from I should, or I have to, or I must, to I get to, I want to. This is my joy. This is an expression of who I am. When you do that, you not only grow and take your heart with you, you take key relationships with you, and they grow and evolve with you, and you can achieve anything. And that's part of that for me, the real sense of claiming your power in this world.
Yeah, that was a great summary of the discussion, Dusty. I know we could be here for hours and hours and go, but that was good. We just wanted to pick your brain on how people could take advantage of their New Year's resolutions and tap into them. And maybe down the road we talk about specific tactics they can take, because it's hard to go from, okay, I need to do this, and then I want to do this. How do you get yourself to want to do that? What's the thought process behind that? And that would be a really interesting conversation in the future.
Yeah, I would say this, just as we're finishing up, that if you're coming from your head, it's never going to work. If you're coming from your heart, what matters most, which is the deepest expression of who you are, and you're really getting clear on that, and that's coming up, and that then is guiding your head. Your head will execute what your heart tells it, but the head needs to be in service to the heart, as opposed to the head trying to be the master, right? Yeah. And so that's the key to really moving this forward. And there's lots of ways and lots of tools and mechanisms you can use, and we can share those. And that's it. Are you coming from your heart? Are you letting your head be in service to what your deepest desires are and to your best self?
If you don't know that how to get there, if you don't know how to get to your heart, that's why we're here. That's why we're coming out, because this is the magic. This is the secret sauce. This is what's going to take everything you ever imagined you could be, who you wanted to be, your dreams, your aspirations. Everything is tied to your heart.
Yeah. Yep.
And you got to be able to connect to it. And, we talk about tools of tactics, strategies, and all of these things. And I love it. But you know how to cut to the heart, Dusty. And you are the world's leading expert on wholehearted leadership. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for that. It's not a small thing. This is not a small thing that we're talking about. This is it. This is the secret. This is the one piece that makes everything come together. And I know that is with passion that I say that, because it's coming from the deepest place of my heart. Now you can have that passion and not express it, and still take action.
Yeah. So for those who are watching that go, okay, this sounds like a big elephant. How do I absorb this? We need to take little bites. And I think working through the course, the more we go through the course and put these things together, and I've asked you in the past why we started with the journey to personal power. It just makes so much sense. So if people want to jump in and start the journey, that's the best place to start. We have a course coming up on the 4th of January. It's beginning, but people will also be able to start after. They don't have to wait the 4 weeks for the end of the course. They can start in the middle of the course and just go right to the beginning. And I think as important as the course is the interaction between the coaches. We're going to be able to go on to our Facebook groups and do Zooms, and people will be able to interact with you. And if they have an obstacle, they'll be able to ask you a question, whether it's on the message board or whether it's during a Zoom call. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely. And it's that for us, it's that sense of interaction and being able to talk to each other and help each other, along with some of the guideposts and some of the core skills and some of the guided visualization and meditations. Because the secret to it all, gentlemen, is how I use this. It's my beliefs, my assumptions, the way I think. And if I've engaged my heart, it helps shift my way of thinking. And I've said this to thousands of senior leaders. If you want to change the way somebody thinks, you have to engage their heart. Head to head, logic to logic, talking heads doesn't change anything. When the heart comes along, the head follows. And so how do you engage the heart? To shift the thinking so that that thinking then informs and guides and moves you in exactly the way you would like to move in life. That's really what I think Pono Quest is all about. I think that's
one important point. Rick and I were talking yesterday, because we meet with other people that are course creators, and a lot of people are actually putting together a platform that appears to be kind of like what we're doing, where they have essentially a library of all these courses and all these gurus. And I think what's really making ours different, and that's why we kind of use the word, it's a guided journey to personal mastery, because they're not just accessing a course and then boom, they're done. Okay, do another course. Our goal is to provide a framework and a journey and actually guide and help the people. It's not just to distribute information. It's to help them take action and keep the momentum going. And then when they have an obstacle, help them overcome the obstacle. So it's going to be much more interactive than the other things that I've seen out there.
Yeah. And one of the things I just made me think about too, Steve, is that as people go through this course and they begin to master some of this and they begin to feel it, we want them to be able to coach and help others. So it becomes the best way to learn something is to teach it.
Yep.
The best way to learn something, well, on the dojo floor, you're part of learning your belts, learning the katas, learning the defensive and offensive moves and the martial arts. Is students have to teach other students. Mm-hmm. And part of the best way to learn is teaching. So we're hoping and we're looking to see people step up to become mentors, coaches, affiliates, associates that help them help other people. So it becomes a geometric in terms of impact out in the world.
Yeah, when I learn a new concept or a skill, the very first thing I do is take it to the group and teach it and show it, and then we experiment. So 20 years from that point, I'm not teaching the same things anymore. We've evolved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? I wish you both a very, very happy new year. I'm excited for the things to come. I know 2020 has been miserable for a lot of people, but I think with perspective, they can look at it and use it as a springboard for better things to come, hopefully.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you guys. Great talking with you, and many, many blessings in 2021.
All right. You all take care.
Aloha.
Aloha.